Apex Online Racing is sponsored by Elgato, who created this lovely stream deck. For more information about the stream deck, the link is in the description below.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the AOR High Energy Formula 2 Sprint League here on the PC. We're here for the Sochi Autodrom for the Russian Grand Prix and the penultimate round of the Formula 2 Championship. The drivers are raring to go after the Christmas and New Year's break, so we'll just jump straight down onto the track and on board for qualifying. And let's see who we will jump on board with coming out on the lap. Let's have a look on board with Flash here. Coming through that small kink that is technically turn 1. Then flat out all the way down to turn number 2. That right-hander almost or over 90 degrees there before quickly going right and then going through that long left-hander. That is turn number 3. And then after you come through that, you take it mostly flat out, then it's hard braking into the first right-hander, first 90-degree left-hander of turn number 4, then into turn number 5, another 90-degree left-hander. And then after that, you go straight ahead, take a small kink of turn number 6, before braking again for another 90-degree corner, turn number 7. Then straight down into another 90-degree corner of turn number 8. Then it's a small kink once again. They love those here at Sochi. Then it's another 90-degree corner, turn number 10. Then you come on to the back straight, the second DRS zone on this track. A bit of a snaky straight with 2 corners on it. First the kink of turn number 11, then a bit more of a corner for turn number 12 before braking hard into turn number 13. And then turn number 14 into tricky section that is off camber, trying to spin that car around, trying to throw it off the track as much as possible. Then through turn number 15, turn number 16, the right-hander there. Then you go flat out, pushing hard down to the final 2 corners. Turn number 17, 90 degrees. Then turn number 18 coming into, and the start-finish line just after that. And it'll be Tudor crossing the line first with the 1:43.3 and Flash with a 1:43.7 in second place.
Going to be able to attend the next and final Grand Prix in Abu Dhabi. So Tudor does have an opportunity as long as he can get some good results here in Sochi. So it's do or die time for Tudor. But about 3.5 tenths up on Flash's lap time. He made a lot of that into turn 13. The curve braking zone of 12 into 13. He really nailed that completely. And for the whole final sector of the lap, he was still ahead of Flash. So great stuff from him. Heiko managing third as well. Good result for the Dutchman.
Yeah, further down, just looking at that Neil Bywater, 8.4 seconds off. He must have spun somewhere on the track or gone off somewhere, since it is quite a big gap. A gap that you wouldn't really think at a track like this, coming in to qualifying, and especially into the first race here. It's going to be interesting to see what the drivers can perform after that quick qualifying session. Some of the drivers maybe not being too used to the circuit just yet.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's quite often that we see in these F2 Sprint League grids, we see quite a lot of variance throughout the grid in terms of pace. That was a lot, though. There were, even before Neil Bywater on 8 seconds, there are a few drivers who are 4 seconds off the pole pace of Tudor. So, yeah, I think we could be seeing a few drivers really struggling to get to grips with this circuit. It's a long one, which means that the gaps are always likely to be bigger. And it is a tough one as well. You mentioned a couple of the off-camber corners, and while there are a lot of 90-degree corners, some of them are a little bit different to others. Some of them have their own difficulties. It's very hard to avoid corner cutting around here as well, which Sebster fell victim to, getting disqualified in that one-shot qualifying almost certainly for corner cutting. And as a result, he's going to be starting at the very back of the grid in, I believe, what is now an HWA car, the pink car.
Yeah, it's going to be very exciting to see what he can do from back there. Of course, with the race, there's so much that can happen, and from the back, you'll most likely be looking for that P number 8, that reverse grid pole position. But coming from 12th, he'll need to get past a couple of drivers before he can get up there. Of course, another fight that will be very important to look at will be the fight between Tudor and Flash here at the front. Of course, that championship fight that could be taken down to the wire. Unfortunately, Flash won't really be there to fight in it, but Tudor can catch up and stand a chance to fight for the win in the last race, or Flash can win it here tonight if he gets outscored by what is now 8 points, since those 4 points was taken in the qualifying.
There's already quite a big difference between them in the fact that Flash is on those medium tyres, the yellow-walled medium tyres, and Tudor is on the purple-walled super soft tyres. Of course, 2 tyre compounds available to everyone here in F2, and today that is the purple super softs and the yellow mediums. And you have to run both compounds of tyre over the course of the sprint race, and when the tyres fall off in F2, they fall off in a big, big way. So I'd expect to see Tudor getting rid of those super softs pretty much as early as possible. That would be around lap 4. And then going straight onto the mediums for the rest of the race. Although tyre wear does tend to be pretty low at this circuit in general, so he might be able to eke them out for 1 or 2 laps longer. But it's all about that first stint for Tudor. He needs to be able to build up a gap to Flash behind in that stint when he has this tyre advantage, or else he's going to be easy meat towards the end of the race when Flash will be coming at him on a lighter fuel load and on fresher, softer tyres.
Yeah, of course, there at the end it's going to be very exciting. Ooh, we were talking about that off-camber corner, and Bylight seems he had a small spin around that corner. The same for Mo. That was Mo and Bylight, both having a couple of issues down in turn number 15 there, as you can just get a bit too eager on the throttle and get spun around it very easily.
Indeed, yeah, no, it can be a tough one even in formation lap sort of scenario. Sebster also managed to get disqualified again, this time from the formation lap rather than from qualifying. So he's not going his way thus far, but the real important moments are about to start now for the man who's 4th in the championship. But let's look at the front 2, who are the top 2 in the standings. Lights go up, but not yet for the drivers. And now we are underway. Looks like a good start in the background for Darius JRX, who's had a great start off blind, but so has Flash up the inside of Tudor already through turn 1. The kink before we get down towards turn 2. There's carbon fiber flying in the background. That's a red end plate. That might be off of Dominic's car in the other Prema. That Flash up the inside of turn 1. Going to try and push Tudor wide, but Tudor forces Flash to give him room on the outside, and the Romanian holds the lead, and that was critical. He needed to do that. Up to 4th place is Darius JRX, who's had an excellent start. Heiko thought about making a move on Flash there into turn 5, but hasn't been able to do so.
Now further back we saw some of that carbon fibre flying. I'm trying to look at what car that could have come from. It didn't look like Dominic had any visual damage, but now look at that. That's Steph Farrell going down the inside of Darius, pushing him wide, and Steph Farrell there just quickly up into 4th, but then Darius fighting back. He went off the track and then came back on, and now look behind, that Slasher fighting back at Steph Farrell. So Steph Farrell first going on the attack and now possibly losing a position to Lasher, but it looks like he's able to hang on. And then Dominic now fighting on there, trying to attack Steph Rell. Or no, that is Lasher, sorry. Or down the inside, there's there, he goes very wide and straight into the wall. And Dominic there has been disqualified from the session, and I believe a safety car has been deployed for that. Yes, a full safety car has come out for that incident. Dominic just going straight on in that corner, quite possibly outbraking himself, trying to attack or something like that, and then into the wall he went.
I do not know what happened to Dominic there. He was completely out of control in the braking zone. I'm not sure if he got a tap from behind or what happened. Maybe there was some lag. He was on a weird part of the track, but it can be tough to judge your braking zone when you're not on the side of the track that you're used to. And he did have front wing damage as well from the very beginning. He was missing his right-hand end plate on the front wing. Lasher's had to come into the pits as a result of this. He has got front wing damage as well in the dams, so such a good start for Lasher. All goes to waste here, and it's going to have to be another set of the super soft tires going on that car as well. It's too early to switch to the mediums. You've got to make your mandatory pit stop at least 3 laps into the race. Darius, after his great start, is going in on mediums. He must have had a front wing change as well. And same story for Mo in the Trident, who is coming back out also on the medium tires, but out at the front it is still Tudor from Flash from Heiko, so that much at least has remained the same.
Yeah, an interesting thing with Mo's pit stop, he didn't change his front wing, so it could maybe be an attempt at getting that very cheap pit stop during the safety car, and then being able to come back later in the race on a set of super softs. But still, that is an extra pit stop you have to take, and it didn't look like he had any front wing damage. And of course, you have to wait until lap number 3 to make your mandatory pit stop, in case, and that rule is in case someone gets damage on lap 1, that they can't come in, change to the tire that can last longer, and then go to the end. So, interesting strategy from Mo there during the, during the safety car. There's been some contact at the front.
That's Tudor.
Tudor, 5-second penalty to him. Heiko as well. Heiko has lost a huge bit of his front wing. Is that the same story for any of the drivers? Positions changing round. I'm not quite sure what happened. I was on board with Steph Rell. Looked like one of them broke harder than the others. Maybe getting a bit too close to the safety car. And then it was just a chain reaction.
That's so strange. I mean, sometimes you get told, oh my, Tudor's now trying to dive into the pits, but he's too late. Heiko snuck up his inside into the pit lane. Tudor gets into the pits just a moment too late, but he's had to cut across the pit entry, but he's managed to do it just about. Neil Bywater's also into the pits. I don't know what that's about. He might be looking to switch onto the medium tyres now, but I think you can't do your mandatory pit stop behind the safety car now. I think about it either, as well as just having to get 3 laps into the race, so that might not pay off in the end. We'll see whether there's going to be any disqualifications towards the end of the race. Also, looking at the race director for what happened with Dominic, he got 5 or 6 5-second time penalties for exceeding track limits all at once, and that disqualified him. But he also DNF'd with terminal damage, so he's both DNF'd and been disqualified from this race, which is quite something. But it does seem like there's some sort of bug, error, lag, something going on with Dominic, because as I mentioned, he got 5 or 6 5-second time penalties all at the same time. So that's very, very peculiar indeed, and definitely not the way the Prema driver would have wanted this race to go, that is for sure. He would have been hoping to help out his teammate Tudor, who right now needs all the help he can get. He's back out, still on super soft tyres, so he's not going to the end. He's going to have to pit again, and I wonder if as you get these bugs behind the safety car sometimes where it tells you to let the car behind through, and the car behind isn't told to overtake you, and then someone's going to get a 5-second time penalty if it's not sorted out, so people jostle, they get confused, and sometimes they make contact. And I'm sure that's something along those lines is what's happened here, because Tudor did have to let Flash through as well.
Yeah, and it's so unfortunate because it's not really something that can be looked at too much after the race, since many of these penalties are getting served in the pits due to some damage that's occurred in the accident. So you might lose a bit of your front wing and get a 5-second penalty, and then you serve that penalty and have to change your front wing, and then that's all gone to waste because it can't be looked at by the stewards afterwards due to the penalty being served in the pits. So it's really unfortunate that those things happen, but it's sadly something that we have to live with.
Yeah, and someone who's going to be feeling pretty good about the way things have been going on is Sebster. Started at the very back of the grid after getting disqualified in qualifying. Everyone, by the way, at the front diving into the pits right now. The safety car is still out.
Flash.
They're all heading into the pits for their mandatory pit stop. Surely, that's what they think they're doing at least. I'm still not sure if you can serve your mandatory pit stop behind the safety car or not, so I'm not sure if these drivers are making a mistake. I know in real life F2 I don't think you would be able to, certainly not under a virtual safety car. I don't know if you can under a full safety car or not, but this is very, very peculiar indeed what's going on right now. BioLite is the only driver out there who is yet to pit. Lasher out there on super softs in second, then Mo and Darius JRX. And then we've got all the people who've pit, and everyone who came into the pits last lap has come into the pits again. Tudor's in the pits again, so's Neil Bywater and Heiko. Tudor's going on to mediums. He's trying to get to the end of the race now. So they've all got to the lap in the race where you've got past the amount of laps you needed to do on one tyre. Now you can do your mandatory pit stop in theory. But I'm not sure if that applies when behind the safety car or not.
I'm currently just having a quick look at it just to see if there is any quick reference anywhere for that, because it's quite interesting what's happening here due to the whole thing happening before the safety car triggering it, and then what's happening during the safety car here. So it would of course be wonderful if there would be something quick here whilst the safety car is still going around.
Sorry to cut you off there. Lash has been disqualified from the session for ignoring yellow flags, but they're behind a safety car, so that doesn't seem right, and he also seems to still be driving to me. So the race director seems to have fed me a false message there, unless I'm very much mistaken. Lasher seems to be still going from my eyes, so a false disqualification. Safety car is going to be in this lap. There's all kinds of chaos going on in this race, some of it caused by the drivers and some of it caused by the game. And yeah, I know for a fact if it was a virtual safety car, I'm pretty sure they wouldn't have been able to serve their proper pit stops, but I don't know whether that's still true of a safety car or not. BioLite is the only driver still out there who has not pitted in this race, and as a result, he's going to be at the front of the queue with the safety car coming in now, with Lasher behind, then Mo and Darius, and then you've got Flash in fifth, the first of the proper contenders there. He's on super soft tyres, trying to go to the end of the race on super softs. Quite a lot of laps left to go for that, so we'll see how well he's going to be able to manage those tyres in that ART. But as we are now going green once again, it is BioLite in the MP Motorsport car leading the way. The American hasn't led many races thus far this season, if any, and he might not be leading this one for much longer, as Lasher looks like he's got a pretty decent run on him. He's not using all the slipstream, but now down towards turn 2, the first heavy braking zone of the circuit. He might well be alongside, he might well be past. He goes up the inside, BioLite brakes later but runs wide, and as a result I think Lasher is going to take first position away. Mo's getting interested as well though in the Trident, going all the way down the inside of the long turn 3 into the braking zone of turn 4. The Dams is still there on the right hand side, but he can't brake late enough, and Mo takes the lead of the race. Flash is already up to third as well. He's dispatched Darius and BioLite, who is sinking without a trace on those 4-lap-old super soft tyres.
Yeah, that decision not to pit, it might be a very good one, since we don't know if these drivers will have to pit again or not due to the mandatory pit stop rules. So maybe BioLite can just come in along with the other drivers, or maybe he'll have to the others can go to the end, as Flash is just getting past Lasher there. Flash up into second place now. So Flash looking great for the championship here, really trying to build that gap down to Tudor. Tudor down in 9th place after this whole thing with the safety car, whilst Flash there cruising nicely up in second place. Further back, there's some battling going on there. Shinzao getting up into 5th place there, just there on the inside there into the bank turn 15 there, doing nicely to hold that position in front of Sebster. Nicely done there, not to spin round as well. Shooter behind now in 7th place, picking up a couple of positions after battling into what I believe would have been turn 13. Maybe he can get some positions as well into turn 2. But look at Flash now. Flash will be looking to go round the outside into turn number 2 of Mo. He's on the outside now, sizing up that move into the corner. He's braking later. And there he has it round the outside. He'll turn to the inside of turn 3. But he's gotten there. But oh my, Lasher has spun around in the background and gotten a penalty. But Flash and Mo still side by side through turn 3. But Flash gets the position, nicely done there into turn number 4. Nicely moved into first place.
Great stuff from the German, using all the effectiveness of those fresh super soft tyres to make his way past those who are on older super softs and on mediums as well. Biolite has fallen well down the order. He's picked up a little bit of front wing damage as well. Lasher has lost the entirety of his front wing also, I thought, when he went into the wall, but it seems to be okay now, so I'm not sure quite what's happened there. There's a big train of cars forming behind Darius right now in the second of the ART cars. Shentar is trying to get around the outside of him there in the high-tech, being pushed well off the circuit. In turn 10 through turn 11 we go, and it looks like they're almost 3 wide here. There's Sebster taking advantage of both of them in the HWA car, and Tudor might well be looking to do exactly the same thing. Can he get Sebster? Will it be 3 cars on one straight for Tudor? Almost, but not quite, as Sebster will be able to hold it around the outside this time around in turn 13, but it's only going to be a matter of time, you have to feel. Sebster's on the better tyres and he's no slouch, but Tudor is a man on a mission right now. He cannot afford to let Flash run away at the front, because towards the end of this race he will have the advantage of the better life on those medium tyres.
Yeah, very nicely done there on the inside. Further ahead you're seeing Flash already have a big gap. Oh my, that's contact on the straight there. I believe that's Darius. He's round there, completely round, lost most of his front wing there. Shintas simply just was on the exit of the final corner, lost a bit on the entrance again, and just clipped Darius there, and round they went. Darius unfortunate to lose much of his front wing, and Shintar losing a bit of their right end plate. So both drivers there quite unfortunate with with just losing it there. Further ahead we're seeing Sebster and Tudor battle it for third place. Tudor in fourth place there, trying to get up into third place, but Sebster defending well there on his super soft tyres. But Tudor there, having those medium tyres, able to just challenge a bit more, just knowing that he can eke just a bit more out of them, because he just knows that they can last for the remainder, or most likely for the remainder of the Grand Prix. Now has the DRS on Sebster. Now they'll be coming into turn number 13. Will he be able to do it down the inside? He goes to the right hand side, it breaks a bit earlier, so no, not able to go for the move. Further behind, Steph Rell and Heiko in a small battle there. I think Steph Rell just got passed into turn 13, so well done to him getting up into 5th place.
Yeah, reclaiming 5th. Heiko took it away from him about a lap ago, but now Steph is back into that 5th spot, so Heiko's not going to have it all his own way. He's hoping to try and charge up with Tudor and Flash. Of course, those were the front 3 at the start of the race. It was Tudor from Flash from Heiko, but now it is Flash at the front from Mo in second, but there's a 3-second gap already between the American in second and the German in first, and then 1.2 seconds down to another German in the form of Sebster, and then Tudor, the Romanian, all over his rear wing at the moment, but just cannot get past right now. Has a tyre deficit for the time being, but it won't be long before those medium tyres come into their own, and Sebster's will start to fall away. Those purple-walled super soft tyres are going to struggle in a few laps' time, maybe sooner rather than later, and if Sebster has moments like that, they're going to be struggling a whole lot more. Hugely late on the brakes there into turn 4, under no pressure, an unforced error from the HWA, and now Tudor's up his inside, but they make contact, and Tudor almost spins it round, just holds onto the car, and thankfully for him, Steph is 3.3 seconds down the road behind, so he doesn't have to worry about having his 4th position taken away from him at least, but he does need to get past Sebster sooner rather than later, because every lap he sticks behind the German, Flash is going to be running away out at the front.
Yes, indeed. And just going back to the rules, referring to the tyres, the rule is saying that it has to be 3 laps. Oh wait, we'll just have a look at this. Tudor now dives it down the inside in turn 13. They're trying to get that 3rd place, trying to just eke out as many points as possible on Flash. He needs to get past to try and catch up, although he won't have much time to do so if he keeps battling like this. But it looks like he's gotten past for now. But Sebster, he's fighting back. Sebster will have the outside for the final 2 corners, at least the first one there, unable to hang it round, and unable to hang it round in the 2nd corner as well. So now onto the start-finish straight. Sebster still behind. Sebster will be trying to get past there as he opens the DRS, coming through turn number 1 there. That Small King, he's in the slipstream with the DRS. He tries to go around the outside for turn number 2. It'll be the inside for number 3, and Sebster, oh no, he goes wide there, having to take onto the exit road, and is unable to challenge for that 3rd place for now. And Tudor holds on to it just for the remainder of the of turn number 3 there. Into the 2nd sector they go. But with the tyres, it only states that you have to do 3 laps on them and then the pit window opens, and it is not allowed to pit under a virtual safety car. So you are allowed to pit under a normal safety car like the drivers did. So the drivers have all done their mandatory pit stops, if my calculations are right. Mo might be right on the edge, but I believe he did do 3 laps. I believe
Mo still has to pit. I'm pretty sure Mo didn't pit after, not 3 laps had passed when Mo came into the pits, I'm pretty sure. So I think that he will have to pit again, currently sitting in 2nd. And now Sebster's having a look back at Tudor. Tudor does not need that, and emphatically shuts the door on Sebster, who almost spins on the exit of turn 13 there, gathers the HWA car together, but he's not going to be providing Tudor with any more problems after that one. Didn't quite see exactly if there was any contact between the two, but Sebster has lost out regardless. And now he's got Steph Farrell and Heiko, have been pretty frantically battling over the last 2 laps. These guys are going to be closing up to him soon, because those medium tyres are only going to get better relative to the super softs on that pink car up ahead. Shentar's not able to quite live with the pace of Steph Farrell and Heiko. He's our most recent race winner. Last time out in the sprint race, he picked up the win. Heiko will be able to have a run on Steph Farrell this time into turn 2, and surely this is going to be the move bought and paid for the Carlin driver. And the Yuki Tsunoda car, he breezes past before the braking zone of turn 2. Gets a little bit hot on the brakes, runs wide, and maybe this error might have just given Steph a chance to fight back through turn 3. It's a long way round, it's not flat like it is in the F1 cars, and Heiko does a better job of it there. He's ahead, well ahead into the braking zone of 4. Didn't quite use all the road on the entry, but Steph Farrell's using all the road in all the wrong ways, and he spins round on the exit of 4. He'll lose out to Shentar. There's a big gap down to the 2 Dams cars, so Steph doesn't have to worry about losing anything more than just the 1 position, but that will draw the battle between himself and Heiko to its conclusion.
Yes, very much so. There's not much you can do in a battle when you do it like that. He was hanging on through that turn number 3, and coming into turn 4, hanging on quite nicely to the back of the Carlin there, but then just on the exit, getting a bit too eager on the throttle, and then it's so easy to just go around like he did, and that must have just completely wrecked the tyres for a couple of laps with the temperatures. And he'll have to recompose himself if he wants any hope of just getting to that 6th place. There's some yellow flags.
There's been a crash between BioLite and Darius. They were circulating in 10th and 11th, and they have come together. Both of them have been involved in multiple incidents thus far this race, and now Mo is diving into the pits conveniently, getting out of the way of Tudor there, so he doesn't have to get past his fellow medium tyre runner, who is abandoning the cause for a set of super softs, as he needs to do to ensure that he doesn't get disqualified come the end of this race. So Mo will be falling well down the order, and this is great news now for Tudor relative to how this race could have gone. Of course, he'll be thinking he could have won this race against Flash, but considering what happened on the first 2 laps, to be up in 2nd is great damage control from the Prema driver, and he might be able to look to close down that gap to Flash. It is 6 seconds between them, though, so even if those super softs fall off in a major way, which I'm expecting them to do any moment now, I don't think they're going to be wearing out enough for Tudor to close down that much of a gap between himself and the race leader. And at the moment, the gap is still increasing ever so slightly. So those super softs are hanging on better than they usually would at the vast majority of F2 tracks.
Yeah, but no matter if you can catch that gap or not, it is still amazingly done to get back in the position he's gotten back into after all the chaos we saw on the opening laps with the safety car and what happened under the safety car. So Tudor's done a great job, but he still needs to get more points than Flash if he wants to win the championship, and it is slowly running out in the sand for him. Of course, he can still, I believe there is still the opportunity to get those points back if he gets the fastest lap and wins the sprint race, and Flash gets nothing. But
yeah, let's not forget as well, Tudor has the 4 points for the pole position, so at least he's got that in the pocket. He really needs, if he's going to come second this race though, he really needs the fastest lap alongside it. I'm not sure he's going to get it. The fastest lap currently belongs to Flash, and it is about 7/10 of a second faster than anything that Tudor has managed in over the course of this race. And I'd expect to see Mo going pretty fast as well on his fresh set of super soft tyres, maybe setting the fastest lap of the race soon for the American. Currently bottled up behind Neil Bywater down in 8th, but he should make light work of the Dams driver with the tyre differential and the pace differential as well that you would expect between these two. Neil Bywater going defensive there in the final couple of corners of the circuit, but Mo should be breezing past him all the way through to turn 2. And he can use this DRS here to slingshot onto an attempt for the fastest lap.
yeah, especially at this stage of the race, the car will be lighter than it was at the beginning, and those tyres, they are fresh and ready to go. And then getting a slipstream and a DRS like that into the first real corner of the track, that's just great for Mo here. In 7th place, he'll start in the front row for the sprint race if it continues like this. And to get the fastest lap onto that, that'll just be the icing on top of the cake if you just look at where he is in terms of what he could have done in the difficult situation that he is in. But down in 7th place, if you can get that fastest lap, that's great. And on those super soft tyres with the DRS and slipstream he got at the beginning of the lap, I wouldn't be surprised if he just pulls it home. If not on this lap, then on the next lap surely. And I don't think Tudor or Flash will be able to fight back, even though they might be a bit faster on pure pace. They are still on older, more worn tyres.
Flash made a small mistake on the last lap to the tune of about half a second, so Tudor has caught up with him a little bit, went about 0.6 of a second faster over the course of the previous lap, so maybe a glimmer of hope there for the Romanian that maybe Flash is starting to struggle with those tyres just a little bit right now. Darius picking up a 3-second time penalty down in 10th. I don't think that's going to be bothering him too much, although he might lose out on that final point scoring position to BioLite depending on their penalty situation. Neil Bywater's into the pit, so he doesn't reckon that those super softs were going to make it to the end or something like that. I'm not really sure about this. It's on the penultimate lap that he's coming into the pits here. The tyres were old, maybe they were in the red for him. But he's strapping on another set of tyres. It's going to be those mediums. I'd be surprised if he's having to do that for legality reasons, but we'll have to wait and see. Tudor is closing down the gap to Flash ever more now, but that moment right there, we saw it. He just ran wide on the exit there of turn 8, and as a result, he has picked up a 3-second time penalty, so he needs to not only overturn that 5 seconds to the race leader, but an extra 3 on top of it as well. And I think that's very, very unlikely indeed that the Romanian will manage to do that, fast as he may be in that Prema.
Yeah, with a lap and half a sector to go, it is highly unlikely that he will be able to catch. That's 7.7 seconds. Catch 4.8 seconds, get past and run 3 seconds into the clear. I don't see any scenario where that can happen. At least not any likely scenario. As he can just there, so ever tantalising close. He just saw Flash go behind the wall and he could just see him into the distance. So close yet so far away here on the final lap of the race. But you must say, after all that happened to Tudor at the beginning of the Grand Prix, he's done a great recovery drive, but it's just not not enough if he really wants the championship. He needs to score more than 12 points in total this weekend, and then it'll be taken all the way to Abu Dhabi, and then he will have, even though Flash isn't there, he will have to fight everyone else, and he'll have to win everything and get every single point to get the championship. So it's going to be very tough for Tudor, and he could even see it all slip away in the sprint race if he isn't careful, and if he makes any mistakes, even the slightest, it could be the end of the championship here at the Sochi Autodrom on the weekend before the final race.
Yeah, he needs Flash to have a nightmare of a race in the sprint race, which will be coming up just in a moment. But right now we are coming to the conclusion of the feature race, and Flash is leading the way home. He's really nursing those tyres now. He is not pushing at all in that ART. He is struggling to make it to the end, but he's just about going to do it here. On 9-lap-old super soft tyres, across the line comes Flash. The championship leader puts one hand on the trophy. Tudor coming across the line in second, but with an extra 3-second time penalty on top, ends up 5.8 seconds behind. Sebster crawls across the line in third. Heiko was closing him down at a rate of knots at the end there as well, but couldn't quite get there in time. Shentar is really struggling as well to make it to the end, but just like Sebster, he just didn't have enough time for Steph Farrell to overtake him. But on penalties, Steph will manage to get through. So Shentar going down into 6th. Steph Farrell managing 5th. Mo is going to come home in 7th after not managing to take advantage of the safety car situation very well. And Lasher will come across the line in 8th. But unless I'm very much mistaken, he's only got 3 seconds of time penalties, actually. So Neil Bywater needs to get closer to his rear end, and I don't think he's going to be close enough to steal reverse grid pole away from his teammates on this occasion. So it will be Lasher starting from pole position in the sprint race, as long as he doesn't make a complete pig's ear out of this final corner. And indeed, he does not. So that will be the sprint race pole position for him. Neil Bywater comes across the line in 9th. Darius and Biolite will be battling it out for 10th and 11th, the final point-scoring position.
Yeah, I think Biolite will just take it on penalties. There you see 4.5 seconds between them. Darius with 9 seconds of penalties and Biolite with 3. However, Darius is pulling out a bit of a gap. He needs 9 more tenths, 8.5. And then he'll be able to get the final point, and he'll come across the line now. Let's see, does Biolite make any mistakes through the final corner? No, so he will take the final points paying position in 10th place there.
Indeed, and a race that really could have been an absolutely fantastic race. Driver of the day to Sebster, that makes a lot of sense. Came from the very back of the grid to manage a podium finish, so great job from the HWA driver there. But it is Flash that takes the big plaudits, the top step of the podium. But what could have been the battle between himself and Tudor would have been fascinating. If Tudor hadn't had that incident with Heiko behind the safety car, whatever happened, however the game bugged out there, because I'm sure something untoward happened. If he hadn't picked up that 5-second time penalty that meant that he had to go into the pits, if he hadn't had to let Flash through, it could have been a very, very different race between these two, battling all the way to the finish on different compounds of tyres as well. But Tudor was going to be on those mediums. Flash would have been having to nurse those super softs, and maybe he wouldn't have been able to get them to the end quite so comfortably with Tudor breathing down his neck. But we will never know. As things are, it is Flash that takes the win, and critically, he also takes the fastest lap. So he has outscored Tudor by 5 points here. So Tudor will need the win and the fastest lap in the next race. And I'm not sure that would even be enough, actually.
It would be 15 plus... it would be 17 points.
And he needs 17 points. So yeah, that's exactly the number he needs. He needs to score every single point he can from here on out, does Tudor. And that is a bit of a daunting task, to say the least, but we can officially say that the championship is not quite over yet.
No, certainly not. We're taking it. We're trying to take it all the way and just eke out every bit of excitement that we can before we get to Abu Dhabi next weekend. And It's going to be tough for Tudor. He needs every single point he can get. He needs to win the race. He needs to get the fastest lap. And he needs Flash to have an absolute nightmare. Flash is not allowed to score a single point in this race. Because if he does, he wins the championship.
Indeed. So, yeah, it's going to be a tall order for Tudor, for sure. We will see what will happen here in the sprint race. Looks like the skies are a little bit cloudy, but nothing that's going to threaten any rain here at the Sochi Autodrom, I do not believe. Just waiting for the drivers to confirm their fuel loads and be ready for the start of the sprint race. We'll have a formation lap as well, of course. We'll expect everyone to be on medium tyres. Not sure which tyres ended up getting used up by all the drivers in the chaos of that feature race, but everyone should have a good enough set of the yellow wall medium tyres to be able to manage a full race distance on those, unless they pick up front wing damage or something like that. But there we are. There are all the drivers on those tyres. Dominic, back again at the very back of the grid. Not sure what happened to him. Well, we saw what happened to him, but I'm still not sure really what that was in the feature race. But hopefully it'll go a little bit more his way in the sprint. But he has got a mountain to climb, but Sebster managed it last time around.
Yes, certainly, you must say. And if Tudor can do what Sebster did last race, if Tudor can pick up the same amount of positions he did from the incidents at the beginning to the end, then he has a chance to take everything home. Flash down in 8th place there. He knows he just needs to hold on to that 8th position and then it's home. But I'm sure he's a racer. He's not going to settle for 8th place in a single point. He wants to get that win just as much as Tudor wants it, just as much as anyone else in this field wants that win. So I'm sure he's going to push all out to try and get up on that top step of the podium in 11 laps time.
Yeah, it would be his 8th win of the season if Flash can manage it. And that would be comfortably ahead of Tudor, who's on 4 wins, Richie V on 3, not here today, and Dominic, who is on the 1 win, and Shentar also on 1 win as well. A lot of the wins, or a couple of the wins in the early part of the season, also went to Pino Macri, who is no longer racing in this league, in case you were just wondering why the math didn't quite add up there. But Tudor, interestingly, still without a feature race win. Plenty of feature race podiums, plenty of great results like last time out, like the first race here today, but no wins in feature races for Tudor. So, it's always going to be unlikely. If you're someone that doesn't win a feature race over the course of a whole F2 season, it's unlikely that you're going to be able to take the win in the championship. And, maybe Tudor couldn't really just quite elevate himself to that level in the races that really counted. He's got 4 sprint race wins, as I mentioned. But they get you less points than their feature race big brothers do. So Tudor definitely suffering in terms of the points in that regard. But now we are lining up on the grid for the second and final time today for the sprint race here at the Sochi Autodrom. It is Lasha in the dams who's on pole position with Mo alongside. Long hold here for the drivers, and we are now underway. Looks like a good start again for Darius JRX in the background. Lasha, meanwhile, is already getting swamped. Mo up his inside. Shentar trying to go between the two of them. Heiko and Steph Varela both had great starts as well. Steph, in particular, was rocketing up and looking for some space, but couldn't find it. There comes Tudor, like a torpedo, like his name suggests, up the inside. Almost caused Sebster to lose it, and then contact further behind. I think that was Steph Varela into Sebster. Heiko's fallen down the order as well. He's had trouble in the Carlin. Sebster was spun around, tapped in the rear. I think it was Steph in the Charouz that tapped him, but I'm not 100% sure. Meanwhile, further up towards the front, Mo is struggling with Shentar trying to take the position away. Lasha has been able to finally retain first position. Shentar going around the outside in the high-tech. Tudor in close attendance as well. Flash hasn't made much progress compared to the Prema driver, and Tudor will be feeling at least just a tiny bit hopeful here. As you see Shentar and Mo battling, he needs to be very careful there as Shentar blocks his way in the high-tech, but he does ghost. Tudor did have to get off the throttle and now is under pressure from Darius JRX behind. He goes defensive there into turn 10 through turn 11. That's going to cost him all the way down towards turn 13. It's all flat out from here until the next braking zone. And Darius is getting closer and closer to that SMP Racing on that rear wing of the Prema car. but Tudor is able to close the door and maintain third position.
Yeah, nicely defended there from Tudor, and so unfortunate that Shinsai just spun right in front of him. There was nothing he could do. He did have to lift, because if that car didn't go, he would have gone straight into it had he kept his throttle down, and there wasn't really an easy way around the car, so he was just staring into the side pot, of course not wanting to hit it, because that would have been all his chances of the win gone. But he needs to get that move on. He needs to try and catch up to Mo and Lasher now. Mo looking to go for the move there, but just isn't close enough. Further behind you see Dominic as well on Darius. The same with Flash on Dominic. None of them quite close enough, but all thinking about ducking out of that slipstream. Some of them doing it. And oh, here comes Flash on Dominic there, getting the better pull, but then going a bit too wide there, not having the grip to go through. So Flash now in 6th place. He's picking up the points he needs to pick up to win the championship, but he still wants to get past. It looks like he's still looking for that fight. Further ahead, Mo certainly also looking for that fight. Only 2 tenths between him and Lasher there, just staring him in that gearbox, staring in that dam's rear wing, wanting to get past sooner rather than later, especially with that Prema right behind him, wanting to get past even more. Now there's a 3-car train now for the lead there. You see down the inside Mo thinking about going, and he does. He dives down the inside in turn number 13 now, breaks himself. Almost spins round there, and that means Tudor goes up into 2nd place now with the move on. Lasher tries to go up into 1st place there, into turn number 15, he spins round, there's contact. They lose the front wing, both of them, it looks like there. Tudor falling down the grid, trying to get back round into 7th place. He goes now into 8th place. Complete catastrophe there, and that might be the championship gone for Tudor on lap number 2 of the sprint race.
I think that's the championship well and truly down the drain now,
yeah,
if it wasn't already. And he retires from the race. He got the tap in the rear from Mo after he just about held on to the car. He had that spin, that half spin through turn 14. Meanwhile, there's another big crash. That's Darius sideways at the end of the first straight there. He in the ART struggling. Flash has been able to get past him and up into 2nd. Steph Farrell is 3rd, so it's Mo from Flash from Steph Farrell. But yeah, that was Tudor almost spinning the car in turn 15. He just about held on to it after tapping Lasher, sending the dams into a spin. And then as soon as he was able to get going again, Mo came in, flying in hot around the corner, could not slow down in time to avoid the rear end of the Prema. And as a result, Tudor was sent spinning around as well, just as he had done to Lasher a moment before. Both of them falling well down the order. Tudor out of the race, retiring from this one. Lasher in the pits onto super soft tires to the end of the race, but his chances of scoring any major points had well and truly gone. Mo makes a mistake there on the exit of turn 10, and as a result, Flash will say thank you very much. That's a gimme for the German driver, and he's up into 1st once again. So it could have been a big championship showdown today between himself and Tudor, but Flash has once again shown his mettle, proved his worth. He's back in 1st again.
Yeah, simply just after all of this, making his way. Heiko's been round. On the entrance or exit to turn number 13, he was in a battle, I believe, with Steph Farrell, but I might be mistaken there. And then he just spun round, unsure if there was some contact there, or if it was him just getting a bit too eager on the throttle in that battle. But nonetheless, falling outside of the points, down into 9th place he goes. And Darius there coming into the pit, speeding in the pit lane. 5-second penalty for him as well. Heiko now back into the points.
Yeah, and Darius, I think the race is probably about over for him as well. He had that major incident at the end of the pit straight last time around, and as a result has had to change his front wing. Neil Bywater was trying to defend there from Shentar, but the high-tech driver has made his way past the dams and up into 5th. He'll be looking to try and close down Steph Farrell and Dominic and get himself in the conversation for the bottom step of the podium in this race, as Dominic runs a little bit wide, taking some liberties through turn 4 on the exit there. That might have picked him up a warning in the Prema car. But he's up in a fourth. He's done well. He's benefited from the chaos of everyone else around him. But it is Flash that has benefited as well. And there is Dominic cutting once again and picking up that 3-second time penalty. So I think we saw a warning a few moments ago, or at least I saw a warning a few moments ago. And then the next one coming through. Darius, of course, with that penalty just makes the two of them with penalties thus far in the race. 4 laps in, though, so plenty more time for the rest of the drivers to get that little black and white flag next to their names.
Yeah, it's very easy to get a penalty here at Sochi. You can either go a bit too wide in some of the corners and get a track extension, or you can purely come into a corner trying to just get the best entry, carry the most speed through it, and then just cut a bit too much on the inside, because some of these corners have quite flat curves that are so easy to cut, and the game is ruthless and it gives you the warnings and then penalties for it. And Dominic here, the only driver paying the price for the track limits, but I am sure that we'll see a couple of others in the sprint race here. We're only 5 laps in, there's still about 7 laps to go, so many more opportunities to come. And here Dominic now on the inside of Steph Farrell with the DRS into turn number 2. They're getting the overtake nicely done there. You see, it looks like Steph Farrell has a bit of front wing damage there on his left side end plate, so he looks like he's struggling a bit in some of the corners, but still able to carry it through in 4th place with a nice gap down to Shentar for now.
Yeah, so holding on with that front wing damage as you mentioned, but not enough to keep Dominic behind. He just needs to stay within 3 seconds of the German Prema driver up ahead, though. If he wants to retain that bottom step of the podium currently as things stand, he will be claiming that away, of course, but the gap will surely extend between himself and Dominic before the end of this race, and it would be a very good effort indeed if Steph's able to keep him within there, considering the front wing damage he has in that Charouz car. Lasher's round again in turn 2. I'm not sure if he's picked up front wing damage again or not. Doesn't look like it. So the Dams driver just able to get going after a short spin there. You can see that his rear tyres are very hot as he struggles to hold on to that car. Dominic will be closing down Mo as well. That's the next target on his list. He needs to get past him pretty quick so that he can start building more and more of a gap back to Steph Farrell and then to Mo as well. If Dominic wants to claim second in this race, which I'm sure he will be aiming at. First, probably going to be a bit out of reach though, considering it is Flash out there at the front, who goes and proves my point, puts a little exclamation mark after it with a 1:47 flat. Comfortably the fastest lap of this race thus far. And yeah, I don't think Dominic can really hope to beat him in this race, especially with that 3-second time penalty. So second is going to be the most that the Prema driver can hope for here to avenge, to carry the honour of his fallen teammate. Neil Bywater also close with Heiko behind him. Neil did let Sebster through a few laps ago. I'm not sure if he's going to let Heiko through quite so easily or not. In fact, I'm not sure he's going to have a say in the matter because he outbrakes himself into turn 2, runs wide, cuts turn 3. And as a result, that is going to be Heiko up into 7th.
Yeah, Flash there out there in the lead, currently showing why he is going to be crowned champion of this F2 season there. A 5.4 second gap, and he's just, it's still growing. He's just able to go out there in the clean air and then just pace himself nicely. Just go lap after lap after lap, improving his lap times. A driver not doing too well at that is Lasher down in 11th place. Looks like he had a spin just in the final corner.
Dominic.
And here comes Dominic, as you mentioned, with the DRS. On the inside, round the outside he goes there. Oh, still side by side with Mo there, but then for turn 14 looks like he gets the position there nicely. Up into 2nd place he goes, then into a bit of clean air. 6.6 seconds. I'm sure he'll try to catch. I'm unsure if he'll be able to do so there. Flash with a 1:46.6, setting a new fastest lap of the race, really just showing his immense pace that he has in that in the lead there. Here
comes Mo back on Dominic once again, though has the DRS advantage And Dominic hasn't got the move bought and paid for quite yet. Trying to fight alongside him around the outside of turn 2. Had to cut on the exit there just a little bit, so that might have been another warning for the Prema driver. As the inside here for turn 3, but that turns into the outside for turn 4. The braking zone at the end of this long left-hander. But Dominic has been able to get the pace down through the left-hander much better. And as a result, he is comfortably ahead of Mo by the time they get to the braking zone. Shentar also has managed to dispatch Steph Farrell, who's struggling with that front wing damage in the Charouz, as we mentioned a few laps ago, now falling down into 5th. Sebster behind as well in the HWA will be hoping to catch up and pass Steph for that 5th position. And no doubt that he'll have the pace to do so as well. The guy who came 3rd in the last race, let's not forget.
Yeah. Steph Farrell there doing quite well with that front wing damage. It took Shentar a bit of time to catch up to him, so Steph Farrell clearly trying to muster on and try at least score 1 point with that damage, but he has Sebster behind now. Sebster quite close on those medium tyres. I don't think he has any front wing damage, doesn't look like it. At least he's right behind Steph Farrell now, and I'm sure it's only a question of time before he can just get his way past. As you can see there, Steph Farrell losing quite a bit of time through the corners, and oh my, Flash, even on 8 laps old medium tyres, he's still improving that fastest lap of the race there in first place in that clean air, doing very nicely out in the lead now, lapping Lasher. But Steph Farrell now having to defend from Sebster, but I don't think it's going to be too easy for him. Sebster down the inside has the position even before the braking zone begins. With that DRS nicely used, into 5th place he goes.
Yeah, nice move there from Sebster, who actually was purple through Sector 2 on that last lap. Didn't go purple in the whole lap, of course, as that was comfortably Flash. He was able to do so. But Sebster looks to be the 2nd fastest driver out there on track at the moment, just about a 10th faster than Dominic in terms of his best lap time. So Dominic still out there in 2nd, trying to close Flash down, doing his best, but I don't think he's going to be able to do it. The gap only increasing between himself and the Prema driver, but Dominic does have that gap to build down to Mo, and now Shentar, who's on a bit of a charge, with Sebster coming up along with him through the field. And with Dominic's 3-second time penalty, he does need to gap these cars a little bit more. He needs to hope that Mo can put up a staunch defense against Shentar and Sebster, and we'll see in the coming laps whether he's able to do so or not. Shentar will not be able to get past him this time around into turn 14, or turn 13 at least. Mo does go a bit deep though, offers it for turn 14. We'll have to go defensive there. Maybe Shentar can look to get the switch back. It's a tricky traction zone, but he's got the power down nicely, and into 15 we go. We've seen cars having tears around here. He goes for the switch back in 16, and that is beautifully judged from Shentar, who should be able to get past Mo there into the final couple of corners. And he does so. Nice move from the high-tech driver, Mo, getting played like a fiddle there on that few corners. As soon as he made that mistake into turn 13, Shentar knew exactly where to place that car. However, he doesn't have the advantage of DRS, and Mo might well try and get him back for this one. He's going to have the opportunity, as he will take the outside line for turn 2. Sebster looking to get involved, and into the back of Mo he goes. Mo just keeps going. That's some front wing damage there for Sebster. Sebster completely caught off by how slow Mo was going to be on the apex to that corner. Wanted to brake so much later. Shentar and Mo, they make contact as well, as Mo was forced to cut turn 2 on the exit there. And now Shentar still up the inside, doesn't have front wing damage, and Mo now does. And I don't think the Trident driver will be able to hold on. He's trying to brake later around the outside. He's making a great job of this defensive, Mo. So the battle will still continue as they're heading through 5, 6, and now into 7 we go. Shentar with the inside line maybe has been able to get the move done this time around. Mo thinks about it, but he can't make left-handers work so well. It's his right-hand side of his front wing that's damaged, so the left-handers are where he's going to be struggling, and as a result, Sebster's able to drive clean past him as well. Steph Farrell going to be getting involved with this battle any moment now. But yeah, both Mo and Sebster have now got front wing damage, so Shentar should be looking nailed on for that 3rd position, but all that battling has allowed Dominic to build a clear gap from 2nd to 3rd.
Yeah, but of course Shentar has to watch out a bit, because Steph Farrell, he's in this train now, and he is right behind that Trident of Mo in 5th place. Oh no, I'm saying that. Commentator's curse. I'm sorry, Steph. That's that's my bad. Almost spins round in that tricky turn number 15, and just gets overtaken by Heiko, and it looks like he's coming into the pits maybe for a set of super soft tyres to the end of the Grand Prix. Sorry for that one, Steph.
I mean, Steph also just completely came to a standstill a little bit before the pit entry there. Not quite sure what that was about, but got going again, managed to actually make it into the pits. We'll be changing that front wing, of course, had front wing damage for the vast majority of this race, and has been struggling with that throughout this one. It can be a pain to struggle through it, and it's usually the better thing to do rather than coming into the pits, particularly here in F2, where the pit stops are much longer. But nevertheless, Steph wanted to be able to get out there and lap on fresh super softs and with a clean front wing as well. We'll lose the position to Neil Bywater, but might be able to make up for it in the form of the fastest lap that Steph will be looking to take away from Flash, no doubt about it. We'll have to pass Biolite as well, who's also managed to get past in the MP, and so has Darius. So Steph has a fair amount of work to do at the end of this race to claim a point-scoring position.
Yeah, of course, you'll have just about 1.5 laps to do it. So he'll be on a right mission there. Of course, he won't be needing to get past Darius on track. But,
Sebster, sorry, coming up on Shentar here. He'll have the inside line for 13. Front wing damage be damned, but he locks the rears, and as a result forces Shentar wide when he counter-steered to avoid the spin there for Sebster. Lasher is in the middle of the road in front of them. Yellow flags for him. But the Dams driver is down in 11th and not a factor in this battle. He was ghosted as well, so that's all going to be okay. But Sebster making it past Shentar despite the front wing damage that he's carrying in that HWA car. Shentar will not like that. He'll have the DRS down towards turn 2, where he might be able to look to reclaim third.
Yeah, on the final lap of the race, these two enter now. Let's see if Shentar will be able to claim that podium position back. Here he comes with the DRS there, wide open. He'll pull to the inside. Sebster staying to the left there. On the outside, down the inside, Shentar goes, but he goes a bit deep there. That means that Sebster has the opportunity to get back at him there, down the inside of that sweeping left-hander. But that means Shentar will have the inside line for turn number 4 there. But goes a bit slow through there. Sebster now able to fight back once again, but he isn't going for the move just yet. Shentar now in third place. Sebster right behind him, but there will be one more DRS zone to go in this Grand Prix. They'll be coming up to soon. Two more proper corners, and then they will be there, and then we'll see who will take the final podium position, who will be able to stand up there along with Flash and Dominic. Now here we have Sebster wide open with that DRS into turn 13. Shentar going very defensive there, forcing him to the outside, but he'll have the inside if he can hang around the outside there. Turns to the inside of turn 14, then coming into 15, he'll still have the inside. Sebster now up into third place, he goes there, but Shentar fighting there into 15. It is so close, they bang tyres, but Shentar still back in fourth place. Flash crossing the line, taking the championship, and Sebster will cross the line and take third place. I was holding back on it there. They had to go through the final two corners, but he did take it. But Flash wins the sprint race and wins the season 4 of the Formula 2 Sprint League here in AOR.
Yeah, dominant performance in this race from Flash. How often do you see a sprint race won by a margin of 17 seconds? It's more like 18 even. Of course, the 3-second time penalty for Dominic adding to that. But still, that is an enormous delta between himself and the rest of the field today. Flash has shown that he is championship material here, and he is indeed the champion of the AOR F2 Sprint League, and hats off to him. What a great weekend it's been. He didn't get pole position in the feature race, but he was able to beat Tudor in that race. Steph Farrell takes away the fastest lap and manages 8th place as well, having got past both Darius and Biolite towards the end there. So he will be able to redeem that fastest lap point as well. But Flash, what a race it was from him in the feature, and what an impressive performance in the sprint race as well. He started from 8th, let's not forget, on the reverse grid, at the very back of that reverse grid section. Driver of the day, Dominic, I'm going to have to disagree. It's got to be Flash.
Yeah, certainly Flash there, able to run it home from 8th place, going up into 1st, doing so well, just in that clean air, lap after lap, just putting in a new fastest lap after a new fastest lap. Really well done to him. And just noticing a thing, we're seeing a full German podium here at the Russian Grand Prix. So interesting scenes there. But Flash takes the win with a dominant performance and does apparently get the fastest lap. No, he doesn't. That was interesting there. Showing some things, the game there, but Flash wins the weekend and certainly wins the Drivers' Championship, takes home 42 points. Tudor only took home 20. He had to get 12 more, but ultimately he lost 20. Tudor didn't have the weekend he would have wanted, but Flash certainly did, and rightfully so. He takes home the championship this season. Well done and congratulations.
Yeah, and well done and congratulations too for Sebster. He's moved up the order in the standings, up ahead of Richie D now, who was not present today. And Sebster managed a points haul of 25 points, the second biggest points haul of the weekend. So good effort from him, especially after being disqualified in qualifying. So having to start at the very back of the feature race grid. But he made it work and had a good, solid pace here in Russia. And as a result, he is now up into the podium positions in the championship, if you will.
Yes, certainly, that is well done. Of course, I haven't seen much of Richie B. It would have been very interesting to see if he could have mixed in with that championship fight, having a three-way fight. He did show some great pace on multiple occasions, but unfortunately wasn't able to commit to the full season. But Sebster doing well to score a great haul of points, going up into that 3rd place. Tudor sticking in that 2nd place, and I'm sure that he'll come to Abu Dhabi and try and gain as many points as he can, try and just see what he can do, see if he would have gotten enough points if everything had gone right this weekend. But we will see you next week for the season finale, the final 2 races of the season, of season number 4. That'll be next week, next Saturday. It'll be at Yas Marina Bay. And until then, have a good one and goodbye.